For the last 13 years, I've lost 60 pounds and kept it off. Today, I'm going to reveal the timeline it takes to go from 25% to 15% body fat so you can stop guessing, stop restarting your diet every Monday, and finally understand why your fat loss journey feels so frustrating. If you are lying awake 2 a.m. wondering why you're working so hard but still can't get lean, this video is showing you the realistic timeline, the mistakes you making you stuck, and exactly what it takes to finally lose the fat and keep it off. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel yet, make sure you hit the subscribe button because I'm making a new video about weight loss advice for busy professional men every single week. I use these strategies to help dozens of men just like you lose up to 60 pounds and finally escape the yo-yo dieting cycle. If you're tired of constantly losing and gain the same weight, I want to help you get to your healthy self without giving up the foods that you. If you want to lose the weight for good and become the most healthiest version of yourself, just like you saw with me, my client transformation in the beginning of the video, there's a link in the description and also in the comment section where you can apply for coaching with me, and we'll see if you and I are fit to work together, and I'll help you build a game plan to lose the weight for good. The first lie you've been told is that you can go from 25% to 15% of body fat in 12 weeks, and I want to clarify that if you're someone who's believing that 90 days is enough for you to look completely different, for example in 3 months, most of the transformation that you've seen on the for example social media, that can either be helped with some steroids and also accelerating your fat loss, but most of us guys who are on this channel who wants to seek professional help is just wants to do it the natural way. And I imagine that you are someone who's just starting your weight loss journey and you're feeling so motivated, but after 8 to 12 weeks you don't look like the people online, and you're questioning yourself like 2 a.m. wondering why you're working your ass off in the gym and also trying to follow your diet, but you are still not looking transformed yet, and you're thinking that you're failing. But the real problem is that you are not having a realistic timeline of what it should be looking like to lose the weight. And I want you to be more careful when you're trying to set a timeline. For example, a more realistic timeline is just losing 0.5% to 1% of body weight every single week. And sometimes you are maybe not losing as much, but sometimes you can track your body fat percentages or your weight. For example, if you are hopping on a scale every single Monday and you are seeing that you have you weighing yourself naked, you don't eat or drink anything, you take a piss or shit, because that's just you having flushed all of your body, like all the nutrition and everything that is not there, so you have the accurate weight. And then you are going to have someone taking pictures of you like with shorts, front, back and side in the same lighting, and it should be like accurate, like 12 p.m. so it's more like authentic lighting. And then you have someone helping you with taking measurements around your body, because that is going to give you an accurate way of the amount of inches there's around your body. Because if you are tracking it this way, every single 4th week you are going to take new measurement pictures, and also every single week you are taking new weight on the scale, and you're tracking this every single week for, let's say you start out with 12 weeks because you want to just set a timeline, and then you are doing that 12 weeks more. Because if you are comparing yourself every single week with the scale and also every 4th week with the measurement and also the pictures, it's easier for you to have an accurate way to measure how you are looking like. For example, if you really want to lose the weight fast and sustainable, is all about taking each week at a time. And sometimes you are in a calorie deficit of 300 calories when you're starting out, but eventually you are going to hit plateaus. So what you're going to do is just breaking out of this plateau with adjusting some of the, for example, the diet or the workout, the cardio, the steps, but I'm going to share that later. But if you are following these small things, you're going to see a big change, because 6 to 12 months is considerable for you to have enough time to not feel like you are rushing, but still give you enough leeway if you are fucking up your diet. So you are stopping your not trying to feel that you are rushing too much, and you are not destroying your results because you're giving you enough adequate time to lose weight and keep it off. The second lie you've been told is that the leaner you are getting, the faster you lose fat. I imagine that you're someone who's been telling yourself that you're losing weight right now and the last 10% is just going to be so easy. And you're probably at the point where the first 10 pounds were just coming off very easy, but now you're stuck and you're wondering why the fuck is there's nothing happening to you, and it's so frustrating just busting your ass off in the gym and eating very low, and maybe your clothes is fitting better, but when you look yourself in the mirror, you are just not seeing any change as fast as you want. And 2 a.m. you're wondering like, why was it so easy in the beginning, but now it's just getting like impossible to get any lean. So I want you to understand about metabolic adaptation, because if you are someone who is like 35-year-old man who is spinning on a calorie deficit, your calorie deficit of 300 calorie deficit is going to work, and also having 45% of your daily calories come from protein, because the more protein you're getting in your diet, the more muscle mass you are keeping and also building, but also decreasing your hunger, and you have 40% of your daily calories come from carbs. So that can give you better recovery and more energy. So when you are on a weight loss journey and you have this calorie deficit in place, you are also having 6,000 steps completing every single day, and you're working out 4 or 5 times in the gym with strength training, where you have, for example, you're going through the whole body like the whole week, and then Monday you can work out your shoulders and your biceps. You have 2 compound movements where you are focusing on trying to hit your front part of the shoulders, and then you're also hitting, for example, with the first exercise and the next exercise you are doing front part of the shoulders again. There could be military press with the first exercise, the next exercise could be dumbbell shoulder press, and then you go over to lateral raises for tying the side part of the shoulders standing, and then you're sitting down and doing side lateral raises, and then you go over to barbell curls and seated curls. And in the beginning you're working out with compound movements because it creates a lot of demanding energy for you, so you bring down a lot of muscle tissues, and then you're going to have 1 to 2 reps before failure. When you are working out, that could be 10 to 12 reps, so you want to do that and always trying to increase. So you have this workout plan fully prepared, and then you also going over to, for example, the next day could be back and hamstrings, the third day could be chest and triceps, the fourth day could be legs and abs, and the fifth day could just be weak shoulder parts that you have. And then cardio, you do nothing that the first 2 weeks, just following your calorie deficit diet, and eventually you're going to hit a weight loss plateau, because if you're losing weight in the first 2 weeks with this workout plan I've just mentioned to you, you're going to lose weight, but eventually you're hitting weight loss plateaus. And how to mitigate these and break through these weight loss plateaus is that you're increasing the amount of energy that you are spending. For example, if you are doing no cardio in the beginning and you're not losing 1 to 2 pounds a week, then you're introducing 3 or 4 cardio sessions on a stationary bike with 20 minutes, and eventually that could be, for example, a heart rate of 120, for example, on a stationary bike, because there's some resistance, you're burning even more calories, and instead of 6,000 steps, you go to 8,000 steps. And when you've been doing that for 2 weeks more and you are losing weight, you just stick to that. But eventually you're just going to not losing as much weight. And what you're doing is then doing something that's called diet breaks. That could be, for example, after 8 to 12 weeks, you've been using this formula, increasing 2,000 steps, 1 cardio session more of 20 minutes, or you are decreasing your calories with 100 or 200 calories. Because if you're doing this, you're going to break through the weight loss plateaus and you lose weight every single week. But after 12 weeks, you are most likely being very tired, you're having a lot of cravings, you're sleeping bad, something that's called overtraining, which basically means that you've been busting your ass off, your nervous system just busted, and you need recover. And the way that you're recovering from the intense dieting is that you are, instead of eating the amount of calories you're eating now, then you're going up to maintenance calories. And the new maintenance calories that you have is that you are putting in your new weights and also the activity levels, your gender, your height into a macro calculator. And I recommend macrocalculator.com. By doing this, you're going to have the accurate new weight of you, and then you can figure out the amount of calories that you need to maintain. It's not the same maintenance calories before you start out with your weight, because that's just the weight that you had beforehand was accustomed to the weight that you had there. Now you have a new weight, and then you have a new maintenance calories. So you could be figuring out that maintenance calories, and you eat at the 2 weeks, because you are just wanting to give your body very much recover, and you don't work out in the gym with strength training. You are doing no cardio, maybe light cardio of 2 or 3 cardio sessions with running and 6,000 steps instead of 10,000 steps a day, and you are eating like the same macros, like 45% of coming from protein and 40% coming from carbs, and just doing these things for 2 weeks. Then after 2 weeks, you're going to feel very recovered. You don't have any pains in your joints. Your nervous system is feeling awesome again, and you're just ready to go into your new calorie deficit. And that's just starting out with 300 calorie deficit, and then 2 or 3 cardio sessions a week with on a stationary bike, 20 minutes, and then you start out with 6,000 steps again. And then you are just trying to do this, and then you are just following that for 1 to 2 weeks, and then you lose weight, and eventually you have to increase it, just like I mentioned before, so you are not having any trouble with breaking the weight loss plateaus. So by doing this, you know exactly how to break through the weight loss plateaus without hopping on extreme diets. Third lie you've been told is that you need to be perfect every single day to reach 15% body fat. And I imagine that you're telling yourself that if you are missing a workout or you are not eating healthy, you are ruining your progress. And I also think that you are at the point where you are either 100% perfect or you're completely off the track. Let's imagine that you are eating one bad meal, and that is turning to a bad weekend, and then you are just restarting your diet every single Monday, and you're just feeling so exhausted trying to be perfect all the time. And I want you to just take a step back and trying to have an approach that is 80-20%, and that basically just means that 80% of your time you are following a diet that is consistent of, for example, meals that you really enjoy, but still being able to hit your macros. For example, I'm using my Fitness Pal. I have a premium subscription. I have putting in my calorie deficit, my macros, and then from there I'm getting suggestions of meals that is tailored to my taste buds, and also the macros and the calories. And then I figured out how many times a day I want to eat. I am using something that's called intermittent fasting, where I'm having my last meal of the day before, like 9 p.m., going to bed 10 p.m., and then I'm waking up 7 a.m., and then I'm just drinking a liter of water to reduce the hunger levels, black coffee to reduce the hunger levels. I'm going to the gym, working out, fasted, cardio fasted, I'm at 10,000 steps a day, but I'm doing 5,000 steps to complete that. And then I'm having my first meal of the day like 12 p.m. And then it's the biggest meal of the day, where I'm having a lot of the proteins and the carbs. And depending on what you want to eat, in order for you to feel recovered after your workout, you need to have at least 40 grams of carbs and then 30 grams of protein, because that's going to help you recover faster and also building more muscle. And then 3 hours later, I'm having a protein cookie, and then the dinner at 6 p.m. with my family. I'm just having a large meal. That could, for example, be pasta bolognese, or it could be lean steak or some sweet potatoes and some veggies. And the last meal is just some Greek yogurt with some berries or syrup topping, caramel, and maybe a protein cookie as well. And it's always about figuring out what kind of foods that you really enjoy, but still giving you suggestions of the kind of food items that is going to help you hit the protein targets, and also avoiding you to feel hungry. To avoid feeling hungry, I always recommend that 20 to 40 grams of your diet should consist of from fibers, and also having a lot of slow digestible carbs in your diet, because that is going to help you keep your hunger levels in check and not feeling hungry all the time, and reducing the amount of cravings that you have. That could, for example, be whole foods like whole food pasta, whole food breads, zero oatmeal, and with the protein sources, I always have a staple into my diet. That could be protein powder from my protein, that could be whey protein, and also lean chicken breast, salmon, lean ground beef, low body fat percent, low fat percent, and also eggs, tuna. These are some of the things that you want to have. And then by having something that's called meal prepping, you are meal prepping a couple of days ahead. Then you don't need to second guess when you are at the verge of wanting to binge eat, because you are just feeling very low on energy level, you're feeling very stressed, and you want to do emotional eating because you're just being very stressful at work. And also by building these small consistent habits, you're going to stick to your diet, and you feel like you are still able to put through the efforts on your working as a professional man in a corporate job. That's just going to be very helpful for you. The fourth lie you've been telling yourself is that your body fat percentage is only about losing weight, and you are also thinking that if your scale is going down, you are automatically going to look more lean. And I imagine that you're probably at the point that you lost some weight before, but you still have the physique that you really want. Maybe you're looking smaller, but you're not getting stronger. At 2 a.m. you are thinking that, why did I lose weight? But you don't look athletic at all. And the reason why is that you are not implementing these things that I'm going to share with you now, and that's something that's called strength training progression. Basically meaning that I earlier mentioned that if you are wanting to have a workout plan, you are having the first workout, let's say Monday, you're working out your shoulders, you're working out the front part of your shoulders, and that could, for example, be using military press, and you are starting out with having that because in the beginning of the workout you're having a lot of energy. You want to utilize that energy to break down the muscle tissue, so you want to also implement something that's called my muscle connection. So the first set you are hitting 10 to 12 reps. You are picking a weight that is easy for you to get some blood flow out to the front part of the shoulders. You're having a mental picture of where the front part of the shoulder is by reviewing the YouTube videos that I'm usually sending my clients, so you actually know where the target is, and you're trying to perfect your form. And then you're just pumping out some blood, and you also want to have some breathing exercise. So when you are like taking a breath, then you are pushing out the weight, like that is the starting position. Then you're taking a breath, and then you're taking a breath like this, and then you're pushing out the weight and also the air 1 second, and then you're lowering it 2 seconds, because the 2 second part where you are lowering is the most, that is the moment where you are creating most muscle trauma, basically meaning that you are breaking down all the muscle tissues as much as possible, and you do that for 12 reps to get out some blood. And then you are having 60 seconds of rest, and then eventually you are going to up it up with some more kilos or pounds on the bar. Let's imagine that you have been using 10 kilos, and then you are going to up that up with 2.5 kilos. So you're constantly trying to increase the weight, so you're still able to perform 10 to 12 reps and having 1 to 2 reps before failure, because that's enough for you to create enough progression. You're trying to work as hard as possible with hitting the failures, and then you're having 60 seconds of rest, and then you do that at least 3 sets. Warm-up sets is just like a warm-up set, you don't include that, but 3 sets in total. And you also want to always try to push yourself, and every single week you are going to try to hit your reps and also increasing the weight. Some weeks you're not able to hit the amount of you're not able to be stronger, but it's okay. You're just doing your best, and you're doing this by maintaining your muscle mass. And also when you are losing weight, you are just trying to work out as hard as possible, because when you want to have an athletic body, you want to keep the muscle mass but also build more muscle mass, and you're going to do that with having a high protein diet with 45% of your daily calories coming from protein and 30 grams every single meal. And then this is the first exercise, and then you go over to dumbbell shoulder press. That's also targeting the front part of the shoulders, because you're still having a lot of energy. And then you're going also side lateral raises. You're standing up, and then you are targeting this part of the shoulder. This is side delts, and then you're still doing the same formula that I've mentioned to you, and then you're going to feel tired, then you want to sit down and push all the energy out of the side delts, and then you are going over to isolation movements. You are targeting the biceps, that is standing up and doing barbell curls, and you're still using the formula. And then you're going over to seated barbell curls because you're feeling tired now, and then eventually you're just going over to the cardio machines and doing 20 minutes on a stationary bike. And this way you're going to build a lot of muscle, and still through your calorie deficit diet, the cardio, the steps, you're going to reduce the inches around your waist. I want you to be very mindful of when you're trying to lose weight. You are seeing on the scale that maybe 1 week you're losing 1 pound, and you're still busting your ass trying to lose 2 pounds, but you always have to be very careful when you're losing weight, that sometimes on the scale it says maybe half pound a week you've been losing, but you still build like 300 grams of muscle mass. So that is just something that you need to look at. For example, if you every 4 weeks take measurements, you are seeing that you are getting wider around your shoulders and bigger arms, and your inches around your waist is getting smaller. That's a sign that you're doing the right way, that you are losing body fat, and that is what you want. You're getting a lean, athletic body and just not losing weight and looking lighter. The last lie you've been told yourself is that once you reach 15% body fat, you can relax, and you are most likely think that the hard part is just getting that lean. But I imagine that for months you've been trying to diet, and you're just afraid of getting everything back, and you know that you've been failing your diet before, and at 2 a.m. you're wondering what happens when I stop dieting. Will I just become overweight again? And let's imagine that you lost all the weight that you want after spending at least 6 months on this. So you are just very tired, and what you should do instead is just getting your new weight in check. And then you want to, for example, I imagine that it's a good idea for you to not thinking so much about dieting. So what you want to do is avoiding to gain on too much body fat. So you want to put in your new weight into a macro calculator, and also the age, gender, your activity levels, and then you're going to have your new maintenance calories. You hop up to that, and then you stay there for 2 weeks, and you don't work out in the gym with strength training, like cardio 2-3 times a week with running, and then 6,000 steps, and then you're getting a break, and you can then look at the pictures of how you are looking. If you feel that you need to build more muscle mass on your frame, and also like if you have too big legs, they cut down on the leg part with working out the legs too much. If you're working out the legs 4 times a week, just cut it down to 1 or 2 times a month. And then you are trying to hop on a mini bulk, which basically means that instead of being in calorie deficit, you're being in calorie surplus for like 8 weeks. So for example, the calories you are getting, the new maintenance calories, you are putting like 150 grams calories or 200 calories, and then you have the same macros of 45% coming from protein and 40% coming from carbs. And then you're just having the same meal plan and just adding a little more calories on top, and then you're just following that, and you're trying to gain max 250 kilograms every single week. And you're still tracking your progress with the weight and also the measurements and also pictures, because then you can build so much muscle mass as possible, and then you are minimizing the fat after 8 weeks. And if you after 8 weeks have been a calorie surplus and you are still some weeks not gaining as much, you should just always increase with 100 calories, and then eventually you are hitting the point where you've been building muscle for 8 to 10 weeks. Then you're going to a small calorie deficit of 300 calorie deficits. You are not doing any cardio the first 2 weeks, 6,000 steps, the same macros, and then you are just trying to lose weight again. And that is the way that you're going to lose weight, and it's going to lose weight even faster because you build more muscle mass, and also you're going to look way more athletic because the more muscle mass that you have, you are appearing much leaner. But the reason why is that if you have more muscle mass and you are removing all the fat around your as much fat around your bicep, for example, then the skin is just feeling more tighter around your bicep and gets that toned muscular look. And that's what I want you to do. And sticking to all these small habits that I've been mentioned to you will help you get a lean, toned, muscular body and reach that 15% body fat and keep it this way forever. Because I am someone who have been getting past 15% body fat by utilizing the strategies that I've been sharing with you in this video and also my other clients. And if you want to lose the weight for good and become the most healthiest version of yourself, just like you saw with me, my client transformation at the beginning of the video, there's a link in the description and also in the comment section where you can apply for coaching with me, and we'll see if you and I are fit to work together, and I'll just help build a game plan to help you lose the weight for good. Bye.